Hi, and welcome to a new video. This video is a new category on my channel, and in this category of videos I will actually work on watches. What you see here is a BULOVA Accutron, and that's the watch we have on the desk today. I got this watch from a friend of mine, and she said, well, I can't wind it and I can't figure out if it needs a battery change, and she didn't really tell me anything more about this watch. Obviously I knew immediately what it was, and this BULOVA Accutron is actually not a mechanical watch, and it's also not a quartz watch, which is quite interesting. This watch has a movement where the oscillator is not a balance and not a quartz, it is actually a tuning fork, and the entire movement is powered by a battery, which I think is a quite interesting concept. But after doing a little bit of research, I also learned that these movements are very, very fragile. And since this watch is not running, there is a good chance that the watch is actually damaged or broken. I think this watch is a rather interesting piece. I really like the cushion-shaped case of the watch. It's made all in stainless steel and it does appear to be never been polished, but I do struggle a little bit to identify the bracelet. It seems to me to be maybe a Tissot bracelet, but it does not seem to be fitting for this watch, so I don't know how these two ended up together. What we will do in this video is open up the watch and find out what's in it, and then we will change the battery and hopefully the watch starts running again. But first we will start to remove the bracelet, simply because the bracelet is not the original bracelet to this watch, and also working on a watch like this is a lot easier without a bracelet. So we do take the pin out of the buckle that opens up the bracelet, and in this case the spring bars that hold the bracelet to the watch are actually quick release spring bars. There is a little pin on the outside that can be moved back or gripped easily by a tool and by your fingers, and that removes one side of the bracelet and obviously the other side of the bracelet pretty easily from the watch. Here you can see that tiny pin on the side of the spring bar. This concept of a tuning fork as a regulator comes right before, I believe, quartz watches were invented. And there was this electronic age where there was a lot of experimentation how to move watches or power watches in a different way. And BULOVA came up with this very interesting concept. Actually, they released a modern updated version of this watch, although I believe that technically it works a little bit different than it used to be. Tuning fork movements are not extraordinarily precise, but they're sort of comparable to mechanical movements in terms of accuracy, I would say. First of all, I want to check if the functions of the watch do work. So we can pull the crown, we can move the hands. We don't seem to have a quick set on this watch, which is okay. I still want to see if the day and the date do switch over easily and if that mechanism is working. The watch has a screw-down case back, and what I would usually use to try to open it is this rubber ball that just gets pressed against it, and if it's not very tightly locked, you usually can unwind the case back from the watch, at least a little bit. But in this case, this will not work because the case back of the watch is actually made in two parts. There is the shell of the case back, and then there is a thin ring around it. It's sort of like a screw-down bezel for the case back, and it's this ring that screws down into the case, so we actually need a case opening tool. And actually opening this was very easy, so this immediately makes me a little bit suspicious because it is an indication for the fact that somebody already was in the watch, and typically that means that there's something broken, and yeah, that, well, here you can see the ring again. And then we have this little tab here where we can pull out the shell of the case back, and wow, this movement actually looks pretty clean. I mean, the battery seems to be leaking, which is not a good thing because this is something typically that can render entire movements useless. But aside from that, the movement looks complete and quite clean. There are some specks of dust that I try to clean out here with Rodico, which is a sort of kind of play-doh for watchmaking. And yeah, the battery actually scares me a little bit, because if that battery acid went into the movement, I don't know if we can make this work again. After receiving the watch, I obviously did a little bit of research, because I knew what I was getting into. Or in fact, I did not know what I was getting into. Yeah, I familiarized myself a little bit with the movement, and what we will do now is to open up this little bridge here over the battery and slide it aside so that we can take out the battery. And if I'm working on watches that have electric or electronic components, such as batteries and circuits, I like to work with plastic tweezers and plastic tools as much as possible. Oh great, that battery came right out. Because I don't want to shorten out anything within the mechanism, and I just don't know enough about electronic watches. Oh, well, that is the gasket that just came off. But that looks actually quite flexible, so that cannot be 40 years old. That actually looks kind of fresh, to be honest. That is surprising. But it's also another indication that someone else maybe has been in this watch before. So, yeah. That's how the battery looks. But if you notice that the movement underneath was actually quite clean, so, well, I'm positive at this point. But yeah, what I wanted to say was that I like to use plastic tools as much as possible so that I don't short out any of the mechanism or damage any of the mechanism. I already, before making this video, bought a new battery for the watch. Yeah, I already ordered that one so that I could make this video, obviously. And now we will try if that will work. And actually here you've seen exactly why I like to use plastic tweezers. If I grab a battery, I don't want to grab it with a steel or brass or metal tool at all. Yeah, let's put the new battery in the watch and hopefully the watch starts again. I've pulled the crown because I know that pulling the crown disconnects the mechanism within the watch. So let's close that tiny little bridge here again, and hopefully if I push in the crown, the watch starts right up again. Let's screw this down. And let's push this crown in, and here we go, it's running. That's cool. Wow, I read so much about how delicate these movements are that I really didn't thought that this was running. This is super interesting, and it has kind of this movement. I mean, the two copper coils up there, these are the upper ends of the tuning fork, and oh, it stopped. Oh, why did it stop? Let's do this again. Okay, it's running again. Probably I accidentally touched one of the tuning forks, and this is really actually something that I was very frightened to do, and I tried to avoid, but did nevertheless. Because these watches seem to be extremely fragile, and this tuning fork mechanism, also because it's so open, it's well, but it went well and the watch is running. It probably needs a full service. I will not do that. We just wanted to know if this watch is actually running. So we will reassemble everything and put everything together, and then we will probably pull the crown so the watch stops, and that will probably be the way that I give it back to the owner. But what we will do first is take the gasket and lubricate it with silicone grease so that it is a little bit more flexible and will keep the watch a little bit more water resistant. And then we will just close up this watch again. Yeah, well, as I said, this watch probably, as like any other mechanical watch at this point, needs a service, but it is so specialized that I will not dabble with that. I'm proud that I was able to change the battery and that the watch is running, but it will not be running for an extended period of time. I can tell you that after I made this video, I kept the watch running for a day, and it kept about a minute of accuracy. It was a little bit too fast. So this watch definitely needs a service, but I will not do that. I'm just very happy that it is running again. So let's close it up again. Not too tight. This watch is not actually water resistant. It's just sort of the basic water protection. But it is in very good condition, and it definitely deserves a service and a cleanup, and deserves to be used again. I decided to put a new strap on the watch because the original metal strap, although pretty cool and I think pretty fitting for the watch, is not a Bulova bracelet, and I think it could be a Tissot bracelet, but other than the T on the clasp, it's not really branded, and that bracelet also definitely needs a cleaning and an ultrasonic bath. So for now we will just put a leather band on it, and this is a leather strap that I bought previously and I tried on other watches, but I think it will fit this watch very, very well. So let's put this one on. This also has the quick connect spring bars, and so it's pretty easy to put on. You don't even need a tool for it. The short piece of a strap like this typically goes on the 12 o'clock position, and the long piece without the buckle goes at the 6 o'clock position. That's how it's typically done. Yeah, here's the watch with a new strap and actually running, which makes me very happy. As I said, this was not a full repair video. I just wanted to share this watch because it's kind of rare and it's kind of interesting, and you don't see these very often. I actually did not thought that I would encounter any of these watches without actually searching for them, but the fact that this watch found me is actually quite interesting. I mean, the dial is pretty cool. It looks white on the video, but it's actually silver, and the blue is blue lacquer on the indexes and the hands, but it actually looks like stones. It actually looks like sapphires, and it has an incredible presence in real life. You have this beautiful case that has brushed sides and polished top and bottom. Design-wise, it's really actually a pretty cool watch. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is one of many videos from the workshop, and I hope you are interested in the next video that I will do, and that will actually be of a mechanical watch, obviously. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on new videos in the future. And you can also follow me on Instagram for more content. You find the link for Instagram in the video description. If you have any watchmaking related questions, or if you have any ideas for future videos, feel free to comment them in the comment section down below. Thank you, and I hope to see you in the next video again.